Yo, 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 yo. Welcome, Browns fans, to another episode of Brown and Orange Weekly. I am your co host, Clarence Wilson. With me, I was about to say as always, pretty much it's becoming an always thing. With me, as always, now is the Fritz, James Ellifritz.
Brand new season ticket holder.
Ooh, got off that waiting list?
No. I meant for Brown and Orange Weekly.
Okay.
I ain't spending that money at the stadium. No, not yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hopefully, our man, the guy, that dude, Dean Samples will be joining us. Hopefully, he dives in at some point. As if you're an avid listener, you know about his struggles with technology here over the last 2 months since moving out to the sticks. Uh, Internet's been sparse for him, so hopefully he'll be able to dive in. But we're going to dive in to yesterday. Browns lose a flipping heartbreaker, 24-20. Um, Made a great comeback, down 14-0. Wasn't sure they'd be able to do it, but brought the game back, took the lead, and then things got interesting. What's kind of your takes on yesterday's performance?
Well, going down 14-0 in any game is not a good look in the NFL, let alone being a Browns fan. But for us to come back there in the third quarter, take the lead 20-17, thanks to our defense making the adjustments that they did at halftime. Great pick by Hurst, dropping back in coverage on that play, tipping the ball in the air to himself and making the interception. That was a phenomenal play by one of our defensive linemen. It felt like the momentum was with us in the third quarter. We were shutting them down. Not just three and outs, but yards wise. I think there was a period late in the third quarter where we had only given up 24 yards in the second half. So I think Schwartz and the guys made the adjustments to get us back in the game after that slow start, and gave us that chance to win. We definitely needed that adjustment. The way they scored so quickly on us, 14-0. In the third quarter, I think the key to the third quarter was the play at right around the 148 mark left in the third is when Smith, he threw the ball out to the right flats, and number 29, Cameron Mitchell, he jumped just outside that route. It was a bad throw by Smith, and Mitchell was right there, had his hands on the ball. That ball did have some velocity on it, but, man, he had a pick six right in front of him, and that would have put us up 27-17, going up 2 scores, getting ready to go into the fourth quarter with a defense that had been dominating. That was our opportunity right there. That was the big one. I think we really could have killed them off right there. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for Mitchell.
Yeah. I feel like the Browns had a lot of opportunities yesterday to put these guys away. The funny thing, I was just about to send a tweet after the first 3rd-and-3 play where they tried to throw, and they got there's a penalty on Seattle, which gave us the first down. I was just about to go, man. Things are changing for the Browns. We're getting calls that would normally go against us, or be no calls. We're actually going in our favor. So I feel like there is a change that's kind of turning, but yesterday was a rough one as far as just how they lost. Defense let them drive right down the field on that last drive after the second 3rd-and-3, which we'll get to. There's been a lot of conjecture on what should have been done. I know how I felt on both 3rd-and-3s. The one we got bailed out, and then obviously the one with the helmet pass. But I feel like we're 4-3, and could be 6-1, all with playing without our all-world running back and the guy who's supposed to come in and be our savior at the quarterback spot to stop the rotating door. So I feel all right, but I don't know. I feel like yesterday was another winnable game that we kind of just we let slip away. You still there, James?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I lost you for a second. What did you think about Stefanski yesterday? I thought he called a masterful game.
Well,
Being
yeah.
with
I mean,
what we had.
no, I agree. I mean, I was impressed that the first touchdown to Njoku, the multiple looks that the fake pumps to and PJ spinning around and then throwing it back to the middle for a wide open. Well, yeah, I guess he was wide open, but the one angle it looked like that defender was getting close to the ball. But yeah, for him to get in there and scoring that touchdown, I love the creativity of that play. And I love any time we're throwing to our tight ends. I think those are some of the easiest completions for a quarterback of PJ Walker's skill. I know he was hitting with Cooper as well. So it felt like there was a good rhythm. And you got to give PJ credit that was probably his best game as an NFL starting quarterback. Yes, there's time. I got a whole list of things here from the fourth quarter. You know, there's mistakes and things to learn from, and I don't know if you can learn your way out of a short throw, but to stick with your question about Stefanski, I thought he did a pretty good job up until some of the key moments here in the fourth quarter that I'd like to get into. So
Yeah, let's dive in because I've been a Stefanski critic for a long time, pretty much since 2021, the post playoff season. I feel like a lot of his decisions are very questionable, but I felt like yesterday and not just yesterday, but pretty much since week 2, when we lost Chubb, he's been calling a pretty good game plan. But again, I feel like I'm like a broken record because I've been saying this for years. This man can call a great game plan and mess it up with just a few plays. I want to touch specifically on that 3rd and 3, the second one, because as I said, the first one they threw and we got bailed out by a defensive penalty, which allowed us to continue to drive. But the second one, I don't know. I feel like we've got a backup quarterback in. We've got a monster. We've got a couple monsters running the ball because I thought Pierre Strong looked phenomenal yesterday. Just it might not show necessarily in, he averaged 4.1 yards per carry, 10 carries on 41 yards, but I thought he was explosive. I thought he ran hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of our backs looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about the third down plays. You're talking on that same drive.
Yeah.
So I want to go back in the fourth quarter. I want to go to the 10:51 mark where it was 3rd and 4. We had the ball on the Seattle 40.
Mm-hmm.
And PJ threw out to the left flat. Ford was wide open. I don't know if you remember it, but he threw it right at the turf.
Yeah.
And I think Jerome got maybe a hand on it, but it was an awful throw. There was nobody there.
Mm-hmm.
Does not mean, and I'm looking at the pressure right now. I took a screenshot of that play right when he was throwing it. He didn't have any pressure on him. The offensive line had everybody locked up, and he just short-armed it bad. And it was almost like that was the precursor to come.
Yeah. Do you think that, do you feel that they're asking PJ to do too much? In these situations, do you feel like we should lean more on the running game? I kind of feel like we should, but you can say what you want about PJ. I mean, 15 for 31, 248, one interception, or sorry, two interceptions, a touchdown. But I thought for who PJ Walker is, he's an XFL QB. I thought he played pretty well yesterday, but I feel like we might have put him in just some bad positions where we relied on him to make plays that he's not capable of making.
No, I mean you're exactly right on that because there are things where when I'm watching and you want to go back to those third down plays, I want to look back at those. My question is that you saw the running plays in the fourth quarter, and they were not. I don't think they hit us for a negative loss on any one running play in the fourth quarter. And you saw what our averages were for the entire game for all three guys. And they were all very high. So even PJ had some nice running stats. In fact, it was
6 for 27.
Yeah, some people were, I would say, Stefanski felt like he was in his bag yesterday, and then you could tell Walker was feeling it. There was that one play where he went out and was rolling out on the left side, and he went one-on-one with the one defender.
Yeah.
See him kind of, put a little juke on him, and he was feeling it. It felt you could see the confidence improving for him, and it's an NFL road game and a very, very tough place to play in Seattle. But I just think there are moments in the game where Stefanski needs to be less Stefanski and make the right call, and meaning don't put PJ in that position because the throw that went off the helmet on 3rd and 3, you saw what happened. Jamal Adams came off the slot receiver, came in on the blitz. The offensive line did pick him up, and as he was being picked up, he was jumping in the air. The ball ricochets off Jamal's helmet, and it's intercepted. And that was the only thing worse is that they intercepted and scored right away. And actually, that might not, but maybe we would have got the ball back with some clock.
Yeah.
But still, it was a hot read. He's trying to hit Cooper on his hot read based on the blitz. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, Ford was open on the left and Joku was open on the left. He's got one read off that blitz, and he's got to make a play. Could he have pulled it down? I don't know, but he had Adams going to be right in his face too.
Yeah.
I just don't think that long. I think the long completions are what hurt PJ in a moment like that. You got to put him in position with play calls to give him an easier completion, and it seemed like we were doing that most of the day with our tight ends, getting to Joku all the targets that he had.
And Joku seems to be his favorite target. When PJ plays, it seems like Njoku tends to have a solid game. I mean, but last week they couldn't get it to Coop, so going to Njoku came back from the burn game, 4 catches. I think he led the team in receiving that game, 4 catches for like 46 yards or something like that. But Njoku seems to be maybe one of his favorite targets. So, but again, I would almost expect that from this particular guy, this quarterback, who again is a practice squad guy, and we're relying on him to start. I feel like, again, Stefanski keeps putting after an awesome game, that game plan that I thought he called. He just keeps putting us in these funky spots. And I'm not sure that. I mean, I'm not sure how sustainable this is, because if he keeps making 1 or 2 bad play calls a game, that he makes 1 or 2 play calls a game, not that necessarily lead to losing, but they don't help you win. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. I'm not calling for him to be fired. Again, if you look at what we've done, what he's done with this roster missing again, our all-world running back, quarterback, line. We've got Jack Conklin went down early. Like with what he's done, I think he's proven that he can coach, but he can't keep making these silly, silly, silly mistakes. Like I said, in the first 3rd and 3, we got bailed out. We just got bailed out. But I don't know. Would you on that 3rd and 3, the final one with the helmet ball? Would you have run the ball, or was there a different play call that you would have made? Because I could listen to something about maybe PJ getting outside the pocket and having almost an option to either make a quick short throw or run for 3 yards. But I really felt like we kind of discussed the way that our running backs were moving up and down the field, that you run it on 3rd down, and this would have been one time I would have been like, all right, you know what, go ahead and try for it on 4th down. I don't like some of the ways that we go for it on 4th down because we go off of analytics. I prefer to go off of gut.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that yesterday, because even if we run the ball on 3rd and 3 and don't get it, would Kevin? I mean, if you think about it, where they got the ball off the interception, it would have been almost the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. Still, you trust the defense that's been killing it the second half, and then all of a sudden you throw that interception, huge momentum change. And I know the defense had been playing well, but Seattle marched right down the field and scored. I know that the touchdown pass, if you go back and watch it, once again you got Cameron Mitchell on the outside, or not on the outside. You had Metcalf on the outside with Emerson to the left, and then you had Cameron Mitchell in that slot. If you go back and watch it, you see Mitchell come in on the blitz, and when he blitzed, it was a perfect play call to that side too, because when he hit with the kid from Ohio State,
And Jigba.
Yeah, so when he threw it, it was 1-on-1 with Thornhill dropping down out of the safety position, and then when he run around Metcalf's so-called block, everybody knows it's a hold. Did you see that? He snatched his shoulder pads, just enough for him to get around.
Yeah, that was a hold.
It was one of those that we just didn't get the call. We got the call in Indy. We got 2 calls in Indy.
Yeah,
we didn't get the call on that, and game over.
Yeah,
but that's where you got to credit Seattle with that play call, and it just worked out for him. And unfortunately for us, we're on the losing end of it. It sucks. We put ourselves in that position when we keep turning the ball over. We lead the league with 17 turnovers.
It's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. For me, and I know we've had 3 quarterbacks lead to that. We had 6 fumbles on the year and 11 interceptions over the 3 quarterbacks.
Yep.
So you tell me that you got the offensive-minded head coach, and tell me that's not driving him crazy.
Oh, he's going nuts. He's going nuts.
Yeah. Something I thought about was Stefanski, and it's a tie into the Minnesota Viking days. So if you remember when Brian Billick was there, and Brian Billick had that great offense with the Vikings, and then he becomes the head coach at the Ravens. And then if you think about how that team transitioned compared to the way he coached in Minnesota, who did he have in Baltimore and was there anything on that offense that resembled what he had in Minnesota?
They didn't have a Randy Moss or a Dante Culpepper at the time, so
right. But they had a Jonathan Ogden and a Jamal Lewis, and he played to his strengths.
Yep.
And they ran the hell out of the ball. I think they had Quadre Ismail.
Yeah.
Kyle Bowler was struggling. So they brought in Dilfers. They had a defense, a great defense, which we all know, with Lewis and Tony Saragusa and Ed Reed. And there was Rod Woodson moved to safety at that point. So they had a hell of a defense.
Yeah.
And Billick was able to manage through that. And, I'm sure he would have loved to be the high scoring offense that he had in Minnesota, but he adapted. So that's my question for Stefanski is, why have you not adapted to what you have in front of you? Like when we would look back at even last year with Nick Chubb, why are you not using Nick Chubb more?
Yeah,
And it
very
just
true.
seems like Stefanski just absolutely loves the pass. He's going to pass in situations that aren't ideal. Then when PJ threw that interception, I flashed back to the San Francisco game where he threw that ball in the end zone on that last drive. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Literally, just don't turn it over. And that's exactly what he did on that last possession.
yeah, agreed.
And you gotta protect him from himself on those situations because it's crunch time. It's a tough position. It's not easy. It's nobody should sit here and go, "Oh yeah, there's a million quarterbacks that could make that play." No, it's not right.
No,
There's the few that maybe somehow could have read Adams coming in on that blitz, and then decided to go the other side to the left side. But that's not where PJ's at in his career right now. You can only expect so much out of the guy.
yeah, very true. I got a question for you, and this is something that I have been noticing over the last few weeks. Uh, so the Tennessee game, how we just absolutely just shut down their run game. That's when all this talk about the best defense in the NFL and all these comparisons to the great defensive of all time and all this stuff. But since that point, they've shown that they're not that team. They are not the greatest defense. They're not even the greatest Browns defense. Maybe name wise, because we know a lot of these guys, and we're not playing the what we're not playing the Andre Davises and those kind of guys. These are guys that we know, we've heard of. But I feel like this defense has been somewhat susceptible over the last few weeks to having big plays put on them, especially on the run. And I thought that with the way that we shored up the defensive line, I thought the run game wouldn't. I think we would shut down a lot of run games, but teams they struggle to run it against us. But it seems like when they need a solid run, they get it. Uh, have we overvalued this defense or overranked this defense? I've been saying for 3 years that no matter what, they need a linebacker who's a thumper back there. They need somebody who, if a running back gets past the line of scrimmage, we need somebody who can take that dude out right then and there and not allow him to run upfield, not tackle the running back 8 yards upfield, which it seemed like we're doing a lot of here over the last few games. Do you think that we've kind of maybe overvalued the defense a little bit or overrated the defense a little?
A little bit. I think I mentioned before about with all the additions to the defensive line, how that's helped Miles, how that's helped our backers
Mm-hmm.
run free. JOK's look fantastic this year, getting to the ball carrier, especially behind the line of scrimmage. I remember talking about, that I don't think a Grant Delpit or any of some of those other guys did any more lifting than they did the year before. Are they running that much faster? I don't know. But I think when you have a solid defensive line or an offensive line, that's what we had going on yesterday. We were
Mm-hmm.
imposing, and I can't stress this enough. I kept thinking about this all game. If you start imposing your will on the other team, keep going. Keep leaning on that. Don't
Yes.
give it up. I would have loved for them to run more because I made the comment on whatever social media or text who I was talking to, but it's like, man, Tomlin and John Harbaugh, those guys would have just kept at it
Mm-hmm.
and not give up on that pass so easy, especially with PJ, putting him in that position. I think you got to. He did a great job for the most part. Still turning that ball over. How do you protect him from himself? I think the game plan was already set to do that.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate in the big moment that he had to, Jamal Adams right in his face, and he let that one rip instead of maybe tucking it down and trying to get outside or something. But with that blitz coming, he had to make a quick decision, and the hell, that's why a defense coordinator calls that. Because you
Yeah.
want to make that young quarterback make that mistake, and it paid off for them. So, overvaluing the defense, our stats look much better at home than they do on the road as far as average points per game. They might have dropped down a little bit yesterday, but we're still in like the mid 20s.
Hmm.
Whereas I think we're just under 13 points a game given up at home. And we look into this next Sunday. You have a 1-7 Arizona Cardinal team coming to town, so it's a get right game for us. And something that was just announced today is that we're not going to see our former buddy Josh Dobbs, who was traded to them for a draft pick just before the season started. They're going to start a young man that I hadn't even heard of before,
Never heard
Clayton
that dude.
Clayton Tune.
Nah,
Uh,
never heard of him.
I had never, yeah, I didn't even know, but I looked him up here. He went to the University of Houston, was drafted at the 139th overall pick, and he's got one pass attempt in the NFL, a completion of 4 yards against the Seahawks. Man, we could have used that completion of 4 yards against the Seahawks there at the end. So, yeah, we'll be
Yeah, I've heard
facing Clayton, name that tune, on Sunday.
well, it's either him or I heard or Kyler Murray because I've heard a little bit about Kyler Murray maybe making his debut as well. So,
Yes,
I,
it's more likely it's going to be the next week, week 10, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why they would
I feel
hide
like
that. I don't know if there's a big advantage, but
well, I feel like this is the game the Browns should absolutely go in and get right. This definitely should be a get right game. Get that record up to 5-3. Um, they're playing, name that tune. So they should be able to take this dude and make him look like DTR
a
did
rookie
against the
quarterback.
Ravens. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Speaking of DTR, I've heard a lot of people, or sorry, I've read a lot of people are saying this is a week maybe you start DTR. Do you have? I can't see it. I would rather keep rolling with PJ at this particular point. Um, DTR, I'm not saying he won't be a serviceable backup, but I don't want to get into this situation where we're played the kid, similar to kind of how they did Kaiser. You play the kid, then you yank him, then you let somebody else play, then you put him back in, and Kaiser I don't think was ever the same after all that. I'm not saying he would have been great, but I don't feel like a confidence builder is like, yeah, go out here and play, man. You're our guy, and then he has a bad game, and you yank him back and be like, all right, you need to sit and watch for a little bit, and now you're going to throw him back out there. Do you think we should see DTR as a starter, or are you all right with PJ until we get Watson back, which we'll get into in a second?
I would say, what's the difference? Because if the turnovers are going to be the same, you might as well develop the young guy, let DTR play. Even though I do like what I hear, from press conferences, it feels like the guys on the team have his back. Seems like a solid teammate. Where obviously in the quarterback position, you need that leadership and stability. He just needs to quit turning the damn ball over. It's that simple. I don't care who the hell's throwing, who's playing quarterback. We got to quit turning the damn ball over because
Absolutely.
it's the ultimate equalizer.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. You can be having a great hell of a game, and then as we saw, we're up. Helmet ball goes off the helmet, turnover, and everything changes, and then all of a sudden, within inside of 2 minutes, and we were losing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, the Watson saga. Again, we're getting mixed messaging from the team and media. about him being ready to go or not ready to go, or maybe he's going on IR. There's still a chance he could hit IR. I will tell you right now, if he goes on IR, by the time he gets back, we are pretty much in the same boat that we were in last year, where he'll probably have, 6 games to try and, readjust and get acclimated again. And this time it might be in the middle of a playoff push, if the team can survive, if he goes on IR and the team can somehow, get through, the next 4 or 5 games and, maybe a 2-3 record or a 3-1 or something like that. But then we're back right where we started at. And I'm a little bothered that at this point in the season, we still don't know what we have with him. We have no idea. We saw one good game, and we saw that 5-pass debacle with 2 picks a couple weeks ago. So, what are your thoughts on just how this is all shaking down? Because I'm pulling for the guy. Like, I'm pulling for him to be our answer. But I almost feel like we're again in this waiting pattern. So what's kind of your thoughts on what the hell's going on with our starting QB?
Well, I mean, the trade deadline coming up too should be able to tell us a lot about what's going to happen. I'm just wondering how much the team has control over this. I think it feels more like it's Deshaun controlling this.
Agreed.
It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel clean. The information coming out of Berea, from the coaching staff the teammates really ain't talking about it, but it just doesn't. Nothing. It just don't feel right. And for Deshaun to come back, if he goes on the IR and comes back in 4 weeks, the weather is going to be horrible, most likely. And then it's going to be, well, I was throwing in the wind. Is his shoulder back? I just don't think it. I don't think we're going to get answers now the rest of the year, even when he comes back. What are you going to believe? Is it going to be the shoulder's still not right? I don't know that he's not going to be 100% this year. But what NFL player is, going that late into the season? Even now, guys are banged up. And that's part of the NFL. That's the way it is. That's why when I have these Thursday night games, I honestly don't watch many of them, because the ones that I did watch in the past, it's the guys are toast. They're still beat up from Sunday games. So as far as Deshaun goes, though, I don't see us getting Pro Bowl performances out of him, as the weather changes, which is concerning, because you want to win the division, you want to host a home playoff game, and then you're looking at a guy that can't even throw when it's freaking September. That's my concern, is I don't view him, and I know that's looking way down the road, I just don't see him as the guy that's going to be able to get us through these cold weather games the way that, big 6'5", whatever, Bernie with the huge hands, throwing the ball through that wind and stuff coming off the lake. We're not seeing that now.
No.
When the weather's nice. So I'm concerned long term. I don't care, if something happens to Deshaun eventually, with some, they eventually agree to part ways at some point. I'm not saying this year, but I'm saying in the near future, if there's some kind of thing where he goes away and Jimmy Haslam has to get his money back, and next thing you know, all the Pilot Flying J's got $6 gallons of gas because he's trying to make his money back. I don't give a damn. I just want a good quarterback that can throw the ball in the wintertime too. You got to play the long game on this.
Yeah.
It's like 2 different seasons at that stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm tired of not knowing where we stand at the quarterback position, and it seems like it's never ending. And another thing, this is something that's really, it's kind of over the last two seasons, it's kind of really stuck out to me. The Browns, it seems like wherever the Browns don't invest in is the part of the team that ends up deciding our fate almost. So last year they didn't really invest a whole lot in the defensive line and linebackers. It showed because teams were able to run the ball down our gut. And it was easy. So this year they fixed the defensive line. Don't really do a whole bunch of the linebackers. Jury's still out a little bit on that. Again, I would like to see a guy who's back there who can make a play if a guy gets past the line. But this year, no linebackers, and then we trade away, our somewhat experienced journeyman backup to have a rookie and a XFL practice squad guy be our backups. And what's killing us right now? Quarterback play. Like if we have a Jacoby playing something similar to what he did last year, I feel like we win. We win Pittsburgh. We definitely won yesterday. So, and I don't know that we beat the Ravens, but maybe it's not as ugly. Um, is that something that you kind of real like? I feel like it's more of just us. I feel like other teams they bring in backups, and it's like, oh, they obviously they're not as good as their starters, but I feel like they don't miss a beat. It feels like when it comes for us, like they hit us right in the jaw and they kill us because we don't have a backup quarterback. It's a position that we didn't address. Think I lost him for a second. Boom. You back?
Yeah, we both went out.
Oh wow. Huh. But what I was saying basically is that it seems like whatever position we don't invest in is that it ends up killing us. So I know you can't spend money everywhere, but are you kind of seeing the kind of like the same thing? Like other teams when they have the injuries, like yeah, it hurts them, but it seems like us, it just kills us. Whatever we don't have, that's what kills us.
I I just this year we finally have an identity with our defense, with the defensive line. With it seems like our running game is it looks pretty deep, thankfully. Um, we we just need balance, and the balance has to come. If the defense had any balance on offense, and to minimize those turnovers and be where Stefanski wants it to be, where he can feel comfortable, throwing putting PJ out there throwing about 40 passes a game or anybody. But
Mm-hmm.
we got to be able to just take care of the football. We just don't value it enough. It just blows my mind that we continue to have turnovers and the offensive line honestly deserves better. Those guys have been improved the last 3 weeks. Jed Will's got a lot of shit, and it seems like he's improving. Dawad Jones went out uh, during the game,
Mm-hmm.
so I think we had Hubbard come in at right tackle, so they've had to make some adjustments there. Nick Harris has been coming in doing some goal line fullback, backup center. But we have an identity to me as a running team when Chubb was healthy, and even having Chubb and Hunt last year.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't. I think Stefanski doesn't lean on that as much, and he
I
needs
agree.
to. And the Njoku game that happened, the game plan in Seattle, we need to see that again. Don't go away from that. We didn't even have Cooper was the only receiver in the first half that had a catch. And we started to spread it out a little bit more with a lot. Well, I said more, Elijah Moore, on the second half. But you got to stay with your bread and butter to an extent, especially when they're not stopping you. Don't outsmart yourself. Don't outcoach yourself.
So that's all, I feel like that's all he does. I
And that's
feel
what
like,
it feels like. Yeah.
yeah, trying to be the smartest guy out there.
And here he is. His record's 26 and 24 as our head coach. That's a winning record. Yay. So is 4-3. And a lot of Browns fans like, well, you should be happy. It's like, well, when our bar has been so low for so many years, it's easy to start feeling good about that. But championship teams that come and have a legacy and what the Patriots did with their dynasty and the old Steelers teams, and then even though the Steelers and the Ravens haven't won as a ton of Super Bowls lately, they're still consistent. That's the thing. Look at
Every week.
the freaking Steelers are still holding it together, even though they lost to Jacksonville. They're 4-3 and they're 2-0 in our tough division, and we're tied with them, but we lost the head-to-head right now.
Yeah.
And the Bengals have won 3 in a row at 4-3, as we must have broke the 49ers with their 3-game losing streak. Cincinnati goes into San Francisco and wins yesterday. We're in danger of being in the basement again because we have the worst quarterback play in the division, no matter what their name is.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of that, 2 things before we get out of here. 1, we are about a little under 20 hours until the trade deadline. Do you see them making a move for a quarterback if it's available and possible? Yeah, obviously we've heard Jacoby, but I feel like Jacoby's going to be in high demand. But that's been the name that's been bantered around. I saw a report that all the talk of Derrick Henry, so far that's not happening. I read something that basically said they told him they don't plan to trade him, and I think there was some, I can't remember the exact tweet, I lost it, but something to the effect of there was some kind of a option that he was able to pick up today. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. That would have made it a little bit easier for him to trade, but let's see if I can find it really quickly.
I mean, we don't have that much draft capital.
Yes.
That's the other thing. Deshaun ate up a lot of that in that trade.
Yes. Do you see them making a move? Do you see the Browns making a move, not just a quarterback, but anywhere within this next 20 hours or so?
I heard that Minnesota, and by the way, this was just a rough week for quarterbacks in general getting hurt. Kirk Cousins got broke this Sunday. Looked like a non-contact injury with his Achilles. So what I heard is that, and I don't know why we didn't dive into this pool, is that Case Keenum's out there to be had, and maybe Minnesota looks for a reunion on that. Well, what the hell were we waiting for?
Yeah.
Did Case not play under Stefanski?
Won a game.
As Baker's backup? I mean, what are we doing? What did I miss? I just don't understand how it got like that. Unless I wonder if this ever happens. Think about this. How many players that are street free agents, they get offers from teams and go, nah, I'm good. I wonder if that ever happens. Like, they look at their wife, go, hey, you want to go live in Cleveland? No. Why don't you hold out for that that backup spot in Tampa or Jacksonville? It may happen. I don't know. But you look at Jacoby's record. I just looked it up. He's 18-30 as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And look how desperate we are for that. 18-30.
Yeah. Do you think they make? Do
So
you think they think they go for somebody?
it might be a street free agent. I don't know. I don't know that they're going to be able to afford Jacoby and give up that draft pick. You know the
I agree.
Commanders are probably going to ask pretty high, especially if other teams out there, like a Minnesota or somebody, might be interested in him. I hope so. Let me just say that.
Okay.
I hope so. And it's nothing against PJ.
Yeah.
He's
Agreed.
he's
Agreed.
tried his best. I think his ceiling's only so high, and this team needs a veteran back there that's got more starts than PJ. But what do we do with DTR?
Let that kid sit. I feel like, again, kind of what I said before. I don't want to break this kid. Like, before we find out who he really is. I don't want to toss him out there and him have some shit performances and his confidence go absolutely down the tubes. Um, because we're in a position where with this roster, we're regardless of who's behind center, everything else of this roster, before the Chubb injury, I should say, but we're competing for a playoff spot. And I feel like if we put DTR back there too much, he loses confidence because he knows that he's in a spot where we're leaning on him to be able to make some plays to kind of keep us in it and try and get us through the playoffs. I feel like if his confidence gets destroyed, he's done.
Yeah,
So,
the league's really good at eating up quarterbacks, that's for sure.
mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
even really good college quarterbacks. I mean, we could go on and on
yeah,
about the great college quarterbacks that came in the league and just didn't last.
exactly.
Wow, it's going to be something to find out, trick or treat, whether or not on Halloween we
Hmm.
get another quarterback or not. I don't know what that tells us. If we don't get one, does that mean Deshaun's back in a week?
Who knows? They're not gonna tell us shit anyway. He's just gonna pop up one day and be like, "I'm ready." Like, the way that they've handled this situation
Hey,
is weird.
yeah, remember when Tristan Thompson used to shoot? What was it? He started out left-handed, then he started shooting right-handed.
Change
Maybe
hands.
Deshaun can do that. Just start throwing left-handed. I mean, he don't even tell anybody. Just come out healthy, and next thing you know, he's throwing left-handed. That would be all time right there.
Uh, that would be prime Cleveland right there. Prime Cleveland. All right, before we go, you gonna give a quick prediction on the game next week?
Well, better win. I mean, this is the get right game, and I'm concerned that the defense is going to maybe be a little lackadaisical. You just came off to a couple road games that were pretty tough and coming off a loss, but don't take it for granted. The defense against a 1-7 team. Keep pinning your ears back, going after the quarterback, and I better see you guys in the end zone a few times because I'm not sure about the offense. So,
Yeah.
still, I run that game plan back. Lots of Njoku, lots of running the football, lots of Amari Cooper. I think the recipe can stay the same, and we can get that victory here this Sunday in Cleveland Stadium. How about
I'd
you?
like to see it. I feel like we're again in that prime spot to win. Get right, regardless of who's back there at QB for us, and especially if they're starting Tune. Um, so I feel like the Browns are going to win this week, but kind of as you said, like these wins are starting to feel the wins until Watson gets back. These wins are going to be a little bit empty because we don't have the guy who we are expecting to take us to where we're going to go. So I feel like we're going to win this week, but I would like to see I'd like to see a dominant performance. Quite frankly, I'd like to see us go 27-3, similar to what Baltimore did to our rookie quarterback. And that's if Tune plays. So um, we'll see. It's hard damn work being a Browns fan. Hard work.
Loyalty second to none.
No, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
You know what? Just keep your head up. I know the goal is to get to 5-3. Would we have taken 5-3 at the beginning of the year? I think we would, but the path to get there, it's been bumpy. Somebody would have told us the story of like, damn. But I guess we should expect it anymore, being a Browns fan. But yeah, this is the week we need to show strength at all three phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. But like we talked about, you keep turning that damn ball over, then anybody can come in and beat you. So that's key. You better hold on to that damn ball.
I agree. Should be an interesting week. Be on the lookout tomorrow for the trade deadline. See if we do make any moves whatsoever. Whether that be at QB, wideout. I've heard them, discussing, possibly bringing in another defensive lineman. A lot of these could be all smoke screens. But we do know AB will be aggressive if necessary. But again, kind of like we said before, our draft capital is not there, and I'm not sure. I don't think we're in the position to be giving up any of our core players at this particular point. So it'll be interesting. With that note,
I will be curious though, Clarence, if we trade somebody for draft picks.
Yeah,
that will be interesting.
I mean, it would be nice if we take that 5 that we got for Dobbs and flip that 5 for something. Trade it back to Arizona for Dobbs. I don't know.
On Saturday. No.
Well, on that note, all I gotta say is, everybody, go Browns. Be kind to one another. And in the words of the second greatest running back coach in the history of the Cleveland Browns, behind Stump, Freddie J. Kitchens. I gotta stop calling him Freddie J. His middle initial ain't even J. But it just flows off the tongue so well.
Well, this is the only podcast talking about him. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's all right.
Unless he's got his own.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm going to keep striving. I'm going to wait till after the season's over, and I'm going to do my damnedest to get him on here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yes, in the words of Charles Frederick Kitchens Jr., which is his actual real name. If you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Peace, y'all.
See ya. Go Browns.